everybody, it's Romania Black, and it is so weird to think that we are on the final episode of Wotakoi Love is Hard for an Otaku before we dive into the OVAs. That's such a weird feeling, right? Because it doesn't feel... I'm getting the same vibes from this show as I did from Uramichi Onisan when I finished that last year, because that series didn't feel like it was completed at episode 11 or 12, because it really wasn't. The manga kept on going. So I'm kind of sad, because this feels kind of like, usually when a season ends, it like builds up to an arc and it's like climactic, and here it's like, even Cherry Magic, that like had an extension with the manga afterwards, had like a build to the last episode, and this just feels like we're just gonna watch an episode and then it's like OVA time. So I'm not sad because we still have the OVAs, but it is kind of such a weird feeling. And we've had a warm front come through. As you can tell, you're like, why are you wearing a t-shirt in December as I'm recording this? But we've had a warm front come through and I'm like actually sweating. So this is so weird. The lighting doesn't help. But yeah, so I do have a couple comments before we start, and my glasses are fogging up. That's how warm it is in here today with this warm front that's come through. Global warming is real, y'all. Wim actually made a comment over on my Hunter x Hunter reactions, and I wanted to note about that. But apparently there is the VA that plays Kurapika in Hunter x Hunter also plays Hanako Koyanagi, and I was like, oh cool, I love that crossover. That's really good. Now I'm just gonna think of, whenever I see that character in Hunter x Hunter, I'm just gonna think of Koyanagi, which is really fun. Attack Run Repeat, which is a great name. For episode 8, they actually defended the movie date, and I actually kind of appreciated what they said here. They're like, I like movie dates because it reveals a lot about a person without too much work. Do they silence their phone? Do they pick up their trash after the movie? Do they just want to make out the whole time? Then after the movie, you ask them about it, and were they even paying attention? You can eat after the movie and talk about the movie, and that opens up a new array of character personality traits. Can they think deeply about subject matter? Do they have critical thinking skills? Are they optimistic or overly nitpicky? Watching a movie with someone reveals a lot about that person. That I never thought of it that way. To be fair and to be honest with you all, I've never really gone on a movie date. I've been with people who have been on movie dates as like a group event. I've not third wheeled a movie date, but I have been in like groups where there's been like couples that go on the dates too. But I told them in my reply that the closest thing I've ever been to with a movie date is this guy. Granted, this guy invited me to like this symphony orchestra like event, and he had a free ticket, and he's like, do you want to go? And it kind of was like a dress up sort of thing, and it felt very, had a date vibe. Everyone that was there were couples. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of like a date. And so I got dressed up and everything. And I'd never been to a symphony orchestra. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. It's not something I would like go do on the regular, but if someone invited me, I'd be like, yeah, I'd go see it. It was kind of cool, and it was nice. Like the atmosphere was great and everything. The date was horrible because, as Attack Run Repeat points out, like how that date acts on the date, like they're very dismissive. They're very much like talking to other people. They weren't paying much attention to me, and I was like, okay, that's fine. But then the thing that kind of sealed the deal was that when we went to sit down, they were like, oh yeah, sometimes I fall asleep during these. And I was like, okay, so are you suggesting that you might snore? I don't know. It just wasn't, I think I got more out of the event than they did. So, and they usually go to these. So I was like, okay, whatever. So maybe I'm a little jaded about the movie date idea from that bad one. Even though it wasn't even a movie. And then Denid KG4071 says, everyone has their own interpretation when it comes to the earrings that Hirotaka gets. However, I interpret it as what Hirotaka said in an earlier episode. He did it to feel more grown up than he actually is. Hirotaka and Narumi were friends throughout elementary and middle school. She got her first boyfriend in high school, and Hirotaka and Narumi were probably not in contact anymore by then. Maybe they went to different schools or she moved away. Now, they point out something from the light novel. I don't plan to read the light novels, so if there's information in the light novels, I don't care if y'all put that in the comments, because I'm not going to read the light novels. I just don't have time. They said it was mentioned in the light novel that they would email sometimes at the start of high school, but that probably stopped at some point. It's possible he wanted to get her attention, but but I don't think that's really the case if they weren't seeing each other on the regular anymore. I think he did it to feel more confident and grown up and deal with the pain of realizing his feelings for his childhood friend. I definitely agree with them that I think he wanted to feel more grown up, and maybe when he saw her out with that, because what gave him the impetus was him seeing the guy with the earrings with Narumi. So maybe he thought, okay, I kind of feel for my childhood friend. Do I need to be as mature as this guy to kind of be like up to her standard? That's kind of my interpretation of it after the last couple episodes, but I do appreciate in the last episode that we got, or the last two, like back in episode 9, that Hirotaka found out that Narumi likes him as he is. He doesn't have to grow up. He can be who he is, and he's growing up naturally anyway, so it's all good. But yeah, so thank you all so much for your comments. Thank you all so much for watching with me. I'm so excited we still have 3 OVAs to go after this, but I am kind of sad this is the last actual episode. I really didn't know how I would feel about this series. I'm sure I'll talk about it after OVA number 3, but I didn't know how I would feel about this series after the first episode. I was like, I don't know. And it's really grown on me, especially over the last several weeks. I'm like, I actually really like this show. And so now I'm kind of sad that it's over. I'm like, but we still have OVAs to worry about, so we'll deal with that. Also, thank you to Sunspots for providing the files for this series. I'm kind of in a boycott against Amazon since they're trying to do AI dubbing. No, we don't do that. That nobody wants that shit. So I'm kind of like against Amazon Prime right now. I'm like, nope, I'm not supporting you. So with that being said, Sunspots was super nice and found these files to send to me. So thank you so much for helping with the resistance. Themes of resistance. Love that. So anyway, we are going to get started with episode 11 of Wotakoi, Love is Hard for an Otaku. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's see what we get. This episode was so cute, and it just is also such a tease. This is literally manga bait, the series, isn't it? This is literally manga bait. If I didn't have so many extras going on right now, I would immediately dive into the manga when I'm done with the OVAs, but I need to finish either Alien Stage or Cherry Magic first. I have to finish one of them first before I dive into Wotakoi manga. I need to finish one of them. I just need the spot on my channel for it, but I definitely want to see it now. This episode fully cemented. We'll see after the OVAs if I still feel that way, but it probably will be. But this episode cemented that I really want to see the manga now and see what happens with these characters, because they're just so good. So I really like actually getting to see clearly this is Kabakura's apartment now that I'm looking at it, because he has the Yuri posters on his wall. It's so interesting to see like Kabakura and his apartment, because Kabakura, like, he just has a lot of stereotypical like masculine like guy features. He's not like Hirotaka is a little bit more quiet and reserved, but Kabakura kind of exudes that I'm a man kind of vibe to him, which is not bad. I'm not dissing that at all. He just is very much like, you would never, if you saw him in the office or you saw him on the streets, I don't think you would not assume he would have posters of like Yuri comedy on his wall. Like, you just probably would not assume that, but you can't judge a book by its cover. So also them shelves with all them manga. If they buy so much manga, how do they store it all? Because that's my only thing, is like, I only have so much space to put physical media, which is the sad thing. So it's like, where do you put everything? But yeah, I really like the fact they have the complimentary cups, the red and green. They're just hanging out. Like, I could watch people and characters do domestic things, like just hanging out all day long. It's super cute. I just love how comfortable they are around each other. Also, can we talk about the gentlemanly gesture? I feel like I'm setting the bar incredibly low, and maybe there's been too many influencers out there sharing stories of like bad boyfriends and stuff. This is what you do. He gets up to get his own damn cup of coffee, which is great, and then he goes, "Hey, do you want some too?" Like, the bar is low when I was like, wow, that was a really nice gesture. The bar is low when you have to set that, but that was very nice of him. I appreciated that. Yeah. So then, yeah, she's out in his apartment, like soaking in the sun and everything. Super cute. The little studio apartment. And then she thinks back to when they were like in high school. I kind of love the fact that they were so like just had all this pent up sexual frustration as high schoolers of like, I don't like you. I don't like you. But they really did like each other. It's like they are literally enemies to lovers. They are enemies to lovers, and it's super cute. And he's like, yeah, I guess it's the last time we'll get to yell at each other. And she's like, yeah, me too. And that's when they started dating. I love that. So fun. So yeah, and he's such a sweetie. And she's like, let's go look at the cherry blossoms. Now this is the part here where he's like, oh, we should all go together. And she's like, you don't want to like, hang out and do things with others, but then you want to go see the cherry blossoms rather than go on a date. Like, I could see why she'd get a little frustrated at that, but she lets it go. She's like, come on. She's like, I wonder how they're doing, by the way. Meanwhile, Narumi's fashion is my favorite. I love her fashion in this entire series. This episode, I love that little sweater dress and the way she has her hair in her little black backpack. So cute. She's giving a little Pam from The Office. I like it. But she goes to visit. I like Ko's in the OP now. I hope this OP is in the OVAs. Maybe then we get that. I want to see it. But yeah, so I relate to Narumi in her struggle of what to do when she's going to Hirotaka's house, because she's like, I'm going unannounced. She's like, it's either going to go one of two ways. Either he'll be like, oh, thanks for coming in. This place is a mess, but it's great that you're here. But she thinks it's going to be more of like, I'm busy playing games. Okay, sure, whatever. And instead, other than expectation versus reality, it ends up being exactly the opposite. And she shows up and this poor man has ran himself ragged and passed out because he's not ate or slept. And there was the little foreshadowing of it when he was like, I've been, away from games except for mobile games, but now I have all this time on vacation to play games, so I'm going to dive into it. And so it ends up being that he just ran himself ragged. I will say, without getting into too much detail, I passed out for the first time a few weeks ago and was a weird experience. Super weird. Although I immediately woke back up. Poor Hirotaka. I like that the thing is, one, he's playing, the game is on. Two, he's wearing his clothes from work. Three, there's no dishes. She's like, you haven't ate in days, have you? And he's like, oh, not since Friday when now was over probably. So I thought this was super cute where she's doing like the phone call with Kiyonagi and they are discussing. I just like the idea that Kiyonagi and Kabakura are getting free entertainment from their struggles. She's like, normal people don't play games without sleeping or eating until they pass out. I like it. Meanwhile, I like that Kabakura is trying to be nonchalant reading his little Yuri manga while he's totally eavesdropping on this conversation. And then she's like, there's nothing in his fridge except bacon and onions. A true single person's fridge where there's like 2 items. And they were brought over by Now, which is hilarious. The whole concept of her making the fried rice, though, was really sweet. I loved that. She's like, you're acting like a girlfriend. I like that Kabakura's like, she's acting like a mom. I feel like some girlfriends are a little bit more mothering. I feel like in this case, because Hirotaka rather passed out, she kind of needs to be a mom. She needs to care of this. Like she said, although she did say she threw him into the tub. So that's funny. That's really funny. And then the fact that he just walked in naked, you are true. You've hit a level of security in being boyfriend and girlfriend when he just walks in naked after a bath and is like, hey, what's up? And she's in there making some food for him. I think it's super cute, though. I think it's a good gesture if you cook or do something to help make someone feel better. I think that's always a good gesture. That's always really kind. And also, I feel like, again, talking about how Hirotaka and Ko are probably similar, I don't know if Ko cooks a lot, but I could totally see Now being like, I'll make you some food, and doing the same for them. So, I mean, that's just... I am not a cook. I am like Narumi where I'm like, I'm not a good cook. It's not that I'm not a good cook. I just don't do it a lot because I don't have time. And so cooking takes a lot of time and preparation. And I'm usually like let's just heat it up and go kind of person. But interesting, he had the salt and pepper hid somewhere. I love that Kiyonagi is just getting a kick out of Narumi having to do girlfriend things. I never thought about the long chopsticks. I need to probably take advantage of that. But the thing that gets me is that she's like, oh, I bet that Hirotaka's going to like this. And that's what makes her be like, oh, yeah. Because it's really not, like, cooking is not a gendered thing. I get really frustrated when people are like, it's a gendered thing to cook. Like, get back in the kitchen, woman. Like, I get so frustrated at that because there are tons and tons of male cooks, male chefs. Cooking is not a gendered thing. Cooking is just a life skill. And some people are good at it. Some people are not good at it. It's like fixing a car. And, it's but more importantly, as Narumi is saying, being able to do something to help someone you care about is what counts. And that's why she gets kind of the blushy face there when he comes out. But I like that Hirotaka's like, oh, hey, you're here. And then the pixelated thing for like, she's like, why are you here? And she's like, oh, put on some underwear. Love it. And then she's like, being Nefuji's girlfriend is tough. And Kabagura's like, she sounds like his mom. Love that. So Ko is, I love Ko. I freaking love Ko. I love Ko and Now. I almost want to read the manga solely to get more of them in it. But I love that Ko got a little worried, being like, why isn't Now like playing games? Like, are they bored with me? Which Ko's insecurities are so valid. Like, if you just met someone and you've been hanging out and you don't really know them that well, and suddenly it seems like they ghosted you, you're like, was it me? What was going on? And the reality is that Now's like, oh, well, I couldn't play the games because my brother wanted to have this time for himself on the computer and I didn't want to take it from him, and we only exchanged contact info through that. So I totally get Ko, because if I like somebody, I'm always afraid. I don't like clingy people. I don't like a stage 5 clinger. I like having a little bit of space and boundaries in a relationship. And I always feel like when I fall for somebody, I kind of fall hard, and I know that about myself. And so I'm always afraid when I have a crush on someone that I'm going to like be clingy and be too interactive. But there's a fine line, right? There's a fine line when you're in a relationship or even a friendship with someone. There's a fine line between like, am I going overboard? Am I doing too much? I feel like there is that line there, and you got to be careful about it. So we do get confirmation that Ko identifies as female. They just recognize that they don't really look like a woman. And that's okay. That's okay. I feel like I want Ko and Narumi to talk because they both are members of the Small Chess Brigade. Also, I don't think that Now cares. I think Now is just like, oh, well, Now talks about their kindergarten teacher, which all I could think of was like Hot for Teacher was playing in my head. I was like, oh, dang, you got it bad. But also, here's the thing. They said they had a crush on the teacher who teaches you things to help you learn. And then what does Ko do? Ko gives Now the strategy guide to learn how to play the game. So Ko is teaching Now. So there's a little bit of Freudian, like, oh, are you also attracted to Ko too because they're teaching you and you are kind of into that? There's some Freudian stuff going on there that I'm like, oh, okay. We'll see. So this manga, the BL that she finishes, Kiyonagi, is Hitori Jime My Hero. Okay, that one has been recommended to me to watch at some point, so that will probably be on the polls at some point, the Hitori Jime My Hero, because that is a BL that has been recommended that I need to see at some point. So fun times. But I like they have this conversation, Kabakura and Kiyonagi does, about exploring other genres and things. And he's like, well, I just don't understand why, you want to read that stuff with two guys. And I wish that Kiyonagi had gone into more depth of why she does. She just like, well, everybody has their preferences. I wish there had been more going into detail, but this, I guess, isn't the venue for that. Maybe the manga will explore it a little more. But she kind of brings up, she's like, well, you like Yuri, which are two girls, so how is that different? And he's like, and he kind of blames it on the fact that he's like, well, it's more shoujo manga. And she's like, well, most BL is rooted in shoujo, so it's kind of the same. So why don't you give it a try? I think Kiyonagi's stuff is, her holdup is like that she sees Narumi and Hirotaka who are dating, and Hirotaka is willing to give it a shot. Even if he doesn't like it, he's willing to try it and then be like, okay, here's what I thought about it. And she kind of wants Kabakura to show more interest in her interests. And because he doesn't like doing cosplay, he doesn't like BL. So she's like, I just want something that we can kind of relate a little bit to. She's like, why don't you give it a shot? Now, to Kabakura's credit, he could throw that back at her and be like, well, I want you to try reading Yuri and see if you like it. Like, he could say that. I don't feel like he's the type of person that would challenge her that way, but he could. And he could put that on her. I like, she was wanting this BL to be a gateway for him to cosplay with her. You know that that's the case. And he's like, she's trying to make it a gateway. She's like, boys love is shoujo manga at its core, which, I totally agree with that. And she's like, why are you so biased against it? Did boys love violate you in a previous life? He's like, what? She's like, you might like it if you tried it. And he's like, well, how could a guy enjoy a love story between two guys? He's like, I don't have time to take risks exploring new genres. He says that as we pan over to his shelf, which is filled with manga. Like, you don't have time? Sure. But yeah, I like that they get aggravated at each other. And then she reveals that she's like, this other couple I know that we both know, Nefuji gave it a shot. Like, and I like the Kabakura's like, well, Nefuji's special. But he says, he only has preferences when it comes to games. So even he has his limits. And she's like, it's mainly because it's hard for you to say the word like. You get easily offended and you can't surf the internet. You're the type of guy who likes to enjoy things alone instead of sharing fun with the others. And he's like, hey, don't call me out so much. Although he did want to share going to see the cherry blossoms. So maybe he's growing a little bit. But yeah, Kabakura's like, fine, give it to me. I just have to read it, right? He's like, just don't give me anything too erotic. And that I understand because even I like BL a lot, but even I have some kind of limits. Like sometimes the eroticism, I'm like, what am I going to say about this? I do feel like, especially if you're doing reaction content, and maybe that's the point, but I feel like doing reaction content, like I do Janyu Yaoi coming up on my channel. And with Janyu Yaoi, which is mainly reading yaoi, there is like, you want what Kiyonagi's talking about. You want the story that's really cute or really deep or really insightful. You want the story, and then the spice is usually at the end, and you feel like you've earned the spice because of the story that you've encountered. It's not just, it's not just PWP. It has a story, has depth, and then there's the spice on top of it. But I will be honest, it is very hard as a reactor when you get to the erotic parts to be like, that's a dick. And you're like, especially if you're someone that's on the asexual spectrum, you're like, these are peni. Like, just, you're like, like, what are you supposed to say? Like, I don't really find it like, I'm like, oh, it's more me clutching my pearls of like, oh my gosh, they went there, than me being like, horny on main for it, right? I'm horny on main for other things, but not that specifically. So yeah, it's always interesting as a reactor. I'm just kind of like, and now this is happening. But I will say, I've never encountered a BL where it was like graphic to the point where I was like, ew. I did for April Fools a few years ago. Somebody had like a Chainsaw Man hentai video and I reacted to it for like an April Fool's thing. That was gross. So I was like, it went over the line. I was like, I don't know. Boys love is just different. Boys love is just different. I also love that Hirotaka thought Narumi's instant fried rice was good. Granted, he doesn't cook for himself and his taste palettes might be a little bit different, but we're not going to hold that against Narumi. And so he's like, why'd you have bacon and onions? He's like, oh, well, sometimes Now cooks for me. And so I like the idea of, Now, I love that Now says, become delicious. I forget that Yuki Kaji is voicing Now. The most wholesome character that man has ever voiced in his life. I swear. I am so impressed that he can pull it off with Now, because Now is just precious. He buys me toilet paper, irons my clothes. She's like, that's something a girlfriend would do. Although Kabakura would say that's something a mom would do. So Now is being very motherly, which is funny. I honestly think that would kind of work out, though, because, Ko doesn't look disheveled. Ko looks put together. Ko looks like they take care of themselves. I'm not saying that. But Ko doesn't seem like they're a high-maintenance person, and Now seems like they could be high-maintenance if they wanted to be. So I feel like that's where that would kind of balance out. She's like, let's go on a date. And Hirotaka's like, yes, please. I've been begging for that forever. So then we get Now and Ko, speak of the devil, together. And I just love their developing friendship. I love it. It's a friendship now, right? I mean, I ship them hardcore, but it's a friendship now. There's not like, I think Ko has more of a crush right now on Now than Now does on them, but we don't really know about Now and their preferences except for the teacher thing. We don't really know anything else about it. Now is just being a super nice person, and Ko really appreciates that. So here's the thing. Ko, I relate so hard to them because they made the strategy guide notebook. My dude, that is, I have a crush on you one-on-one. That is I have a crush on you 101 to a T. You don't go out of your way to make a strategy guide or a mixtape or a compilation of anything unless you have more than just a friendly vibe with that person, right? I have made many a mixtape in my day, many a burnt CD in my day, and you do those to people you care about, and not just care about as, oh, we're just acquaintances, oh, this is just a white elephant gift, oh, we're just like having a friendly time. No, this is like a deeper level. You make stuff for people you really care about, and this is exactly an example of it. I love that. And of course, Now is like the kindest person in the world. He's like, oh, well, thank you. And I don't think he gets that this gesture is really special. I think he's just like, wow, that was a really nice thing you did. And Ko's like, Ko and Narumi, I think if they combine together, that's me. I am if Narumi and Ko combine together. And then Kabakura is having existential life crisis because he realizes that he really liked the BL. Yep. He's like, that was really good. And he's like, it really is a shoujo manga. And she's like, he's so simple. That's kind of how I felt. I didn't know how I would feel about Yuri because I'm romantically attracted to men, but I'm not really attracted at all to women. And so I kind of didn't know how I'd feel about Yuri, but then I read it and I was like, oh, this is actually really good. So it's kind of like the same thing, right? This isn't a date, it's a walk. A date, a walk, and rehabilitation. I like that now that the two of them are more comfortable around each other dating, Hirotaka and Narumi, they kind of are able to like get onto each other and know that each other can take it, which is a sign your relationship's getting to a good point. So they go to the park and they have like, I like also that them being able to be nostalgic is kind of a sign that because before, Hirotaka viewed nostalgia as a boundary or a barrier to their relationship because he's like, oh, well, because you and I were just friends as kids, he's like, Hirotaka's been afraid to talk about their childhood because he feels like it would cement them being friends only. But now they've reached, since the date at the amusement park, now they've reached this point where they can talk about that nostalgia. And it's more like, hey, remember how we were as kids? Isn't that fun? And it's not a hindrance to them growing as boyfriend and girlfriend, which is super cute. I love that. Also, I love the concept that Hirotaka's like, I didn't go camping with my friends. My brother made up for it. And I was like, that's kind of how my brother and I were as kids. My brother is very much like Hirotaka in terms of he is a gamer that if we went on vacation, he would bring his gaming system with him, plug it up wherever we were staying at, whether it was a hotel, whether it was a condo, whether it was like a house that our family rented for the week. And he would just plug up his system in there and be like, okay, have fun on the beach. Bye. And he would not come out at all the whole week. And it was just like, okay, unless we like went out to eat or something or got groceries, he'd be like, I'm going to be in here. And it's just how he is. And I would be like, I'm going outside because like, this is my one chance to be outside. And so I feel like that too. Yeah. But it's super cute. He's like, it's okay. He made up for it. She's like, I understand how you felt though. And he's like, well, I thought you would like being outside. She's like, yeah. And again, I relate so much to Narumi. She's like, I like being outside, but being able to read at home, watch anime, that stuff's all like, that stuff is fun too. And I look forward to that as well. And she's like, and we're doing the same things now. And then what Hirotaka says here, what I like never changes. Meaning he's always liked you, right? And now got to the point of it. And Hirotaka's like, I will kill you. If you reveal that I've loved her since I was a kid, I will kill you, little brother. That's like sibling 101. So Narumi realizes that one of her favorite voice actors is going to be on TV and she wants to like see it live. Meanwhile, I like that the last thing we get with Kabakura is debating on whether to buy this figurine. And Kiyonagi's planning out her cosplay after party event, which sounds super fun. Wish I could go. And so, yeah. So then now it's like buff and debuff. What does that mean? He's just so precious. So freaking cute. So yeah, I also love the idea of Narumi encouraging Hirotaka to run home. And I love that he has that one burst of energy and then it just is like, no, actually not. Super cute. So then we get to the after scene, the after credit scene. This is so adorable. So in the after credit scene, Narumi asks, like, when was the first time you fell in love? Now, I'm going to look some of these up because they all are like, I like the Hirotaka and Kiyonagi are like, they're not surprised she's asking this question and contemplating it. But Kabakura's like, what? Talk about first loves, uncomfortable conversations. She's like, my brain is filled with shoujo manga right now. So they're talking about the different people they have a crush on. I want to look some of these people up because I'm very curious of who they are. And I like that Kabakura, of course, he doesn't want to talk about it. He's like, well, this is stuff that guys talk about. And Hirotaka's like, I don't know if I want to admit this. I mean, because Hirotaka's first love was Narumi. Mm-hmm. So they're like, well, then who was your first love in 2D? You can talk about that. So, okay. And he says, Doi Sensei. Okay, so I'm going to back up and we'll see who each of these people are. And I'll probably take a picture of it so that we can, like, compare side by side here. Okay, so Nakaruru. Oh, okay. So Nakaruru is this fictional character with this big-ass falcon. Okay, they kind of look like Narumi a little bit, just with black hair. But they're not like a big-chested woman. She is kind of like, she's a video game character. Okay, cool. That's really neat. And then what is Doi? What is so Doi Sensei is, oh, okay. Interesting. Doi Sensei is actually really cute. I'm going to get, Doi Sensei kind of looks like Kabakura, if I'm being honest. They kind of look like Kabakura, but okay. Interesting. All right. So, then let's see. We have, for their Yuki Amami, there's like 4 different Yuki Amamis. I don't know which one we are referring to, if it's Detective Conan or who exactly it is. So I'm not going to put a picture up because I don't know which Yuki Amami it is. But interesting. I mean, if it's one, they're all like powerful looking women. So go on, Kiyonagi, bisexual queen, go on. And then who does, let's see here. Who does he say? He says Kyoko Otonashi for Kabakura. Okay, Kyoko Otonashi. Oh, well, they look like they're from Ranma 1/2. Maybe it's the same creator. Okay, interesting. Are they from like a tennis like anime? Where are they from? Interesting. They look super cute, and they kind of look similar to the same crush that Hirotaka had, but okay. Interesting. And then she's like, I thought your first love was Sakura. He's like, I used to like older women. No, used to like older women, sir. I think you might still like them now, honestly. I love when Now comes over and Now's like, I don't have a 2D love. My kindergarten teacher. Like, of course, he's not an otaku, so he can just instantly ask it. She's like, I thought your first love was someone more sexy. And you're a boob guy. And he's like, well, I wasn't always a boob guy. I feel like, here's the thing, if we're talking about this. He says he wasn't always a boob guy and his preferences he says, I used to be pure. I wasn't born as a boob guy. That made me think, like, maybe because he couldn't have Narumi as a girlfriend and he was sad about that, he's like, well, maybe I'll just like a different type of woman that's not Narumi and then I won't have to worry about it. Maybe there's something to that. I don't know. But Kiyonagi says our preferences change over time depending upon our age and our environment. So she's like, but you haven't changed. So yeah, then they ask Now about the crush he had. Now is so adorable. It's so sweet. So as they start heading back, Now's like, oh, my brother got to date his first love. And Hirotaka Hirotaka being like, do you know what's happening if you're going to say anything? And he like crushes the drink. He's like, don't say a word. And Narumi's like, really? Oh my God. And so then now it's like, oh, it was a girl from a game, right? And Hirotaka's like, better answer. But Kabakura saw his face. Kabakura is like, I've never seen Hirotaka look that terrifying. So Kabakura knows. Kabakura knows the truth. Kiyonagi didn't see it, but oh my God. That's so great. And then Narumi meets Ko. They all technically have seen Ko now. Also, seeing Narumi up against Ko and how tall Ko is, because Ko and now are about the same height. So, well, yeah, they are, aren't they? I mean, now's a little bit taller. Now is taller than Ko, but Ko is pretty tall for a woman. So, yeah. But I'm 5'8", so I understand that. Okay. Like, oh, I'm sorry. And they're like, Nakaruru. So, yeah, you know that, like, Ko's like, wait, I know what that is. Because they're an otaku, too. He's like, did you just see that now? I like that you have Hirotaka being like, by the way, you had fantasies about Doi Sensei, right? And she's like, no. Well, I can't say that I didn't. Love that. Love that. This last shot of all of them is so precious. I love all of them together. It's so cute. Dang it. Now I'm excited about the OVA. So we have 3 OVAs that are coming up. I want to see real quick about OVAs. Okay. I'm going to be doing my best. I'm probably going to reach out to Sunspots to get the OVAs and see how long they are. I'm assuming that they're probably like decent length. Yeah, the first one, all I'm looking up is the length and it's 23 minutes. So they're about like episodes. Okay. Sometimes the OVAs are like movie length. So there's that, but no. So yeah, I'm probably going to reach out to Sunspots to get access to those. For the 3 of those for January. And then after we do the 3 OVAs, we'll probably just take a break until either Alien Stage or Cherry Magic catches up. And then I'm going to hopefully be able to look at the manga. So, but this episode's so cute. They put that little scene at the end that kind of made it seem like a season finale, but at the same time, it's like, is it? So anyway, I'm excited to hear your thoughts down below about this episode, and I'm excited for the OVAs. So, what a great way to round out 2026 and start 2025 and start 2026 with Wotakoi, Love is Hard for an Otaku. So, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more reactions. Bye!